The U.S. Chamber of Commerce on Wednesday released a report warning that if the United States and China were to fully decouple, American businesses would be significantly impacted, resulting in hundreds of billions in GDP and capital gains losses, while undermining U.S. productivity and innovation. The report, released by U.S. Chamber of Commerce China Center in partnership with Brodian Group, showed that if 25% tariffs were expanded to cover all two-way trade, the United States would forego $190 billion in GDP annually by 2025. If decoupling leads to the sale of half of the U.S. foreign direct investment stock in China, U.S. investors will lose $25 billion per year in capital gains, and models point to one-time GDP losses of up to $500 billion. Aside from the aggregate costs for the U.S. economy across trade, investment, people, and ideas, the report also identifies the potential costs for U.S. China decoupling at industry level. For example, U.S. semiconductor industry, a loss of access to Chinese customers, depending on the extent of decoupling, would cost $54 billion to $124 billion in lost U.S. output, risking more than 100,000 U.S. jobs and $12 billion in research and development spending. At a virtual release event for the report, experts said understanding the costs for decoupling of the United States is very important in policymaking.
We did this study largely to suggest that that the degree of interconnectedness between the United States and China creates a very complex relationship, such that efforts from the United States or China to decouple, to disengage, actually have perhaps unintended consequences and require surgical efforts.
Full decoupling, by which I mean if we were to try to cut off everything or the preponderance of our economic engagement with China, would be so expensive that it would make everyone, even the most hawkish Americans and national security professionals, very uncomfortable. We're going to have to pay for this stuff. Our choices are not going to be cheap, even if we're selective in our policymaking decisions about re-engineering our economic engagement with China. We really have to be mindful that we've got a lot of economic priorities that we're going to have to pay for.